Well then, Kensei Hero Friday. It's the second edition. Score, who are you?
That was a slightly less exciting introduction.
Slightly different.
But hello, I am Skorbrand. I've been a competitive player since the game's launch, and I currently play Kensei for my team in 4v4.
I thought you were gonna say Smite.
Okay. Oh, I don't play that either.
Oh, okay, alright. So before we start, I just wanted to let you guys know, if you're watching live on Twitch and have any questions, make sure to add Alernakin in the chat. And if I think they're important, I'll bring them up. So if you think like we forgot to say something, maybe we said something wrong, maybe we think we didn't go in depth enough on a certain topic or whatever, again, add Alernakin in the chat for all your complaints and needs. Also, I have this written out in my intro, which I think now should be true. All notifications should be turned off for the duration of the guide. So if there's any follows or subs, I'll shout you out and thank you afterwards. Except for that one that happened that you guys on YouTube will not see, because I will for sure edit it out. So okay, I think we can start. So let's host a game real quick. So first we will be starting, just to kind of roadmap this for you, guys. We'll be starting with 1v1. If you've watched the Warden lesson or the Warden guide, I do it with set mix. It's gonna be the exact same format. We started with 1v1 and just kind of keep going with keep going down the line. Punishes, different playstyles in 1v1, and then 4v4 feats. Again, different playstyles, how to participate in team fights and things like that. So okay, so Kensei. First, let's start with the 1v1, of course. So Kensei in general, at the very highest level, is kind of a hero that doesn't do much, right? But let's first maybe start with that, just to let people know, like, not to bullshit anyone, that at the very highest level things look like really aggressive, but just to start off with that, and then we can talk about what is a slightly lower level.
Yeah, I would not recommend playing Kensei in 1v1 at the highest level, but he can definitely work at lower levels just fine.
Yeah, and but what do you mean by lower level? It doesn't have to be, like, we don't mean like platinum or whatever. If you're going by rank, you can easily make it to GM playing just fine with Kensei, even if you're easily, like, if you're decently aggressive, even just fine. So don't worry about that too much. But if you're wanting to win tournaments, competitive tournaments on PC, then that might be a little bit more difficult with Kensei. Okay, so let's start with Kensei. So with 1v1 again, sorry. So what are my options in 1v1, and what kind of I should be using?
Okay, so Kensei in 1v1 is all about the pommel strike, where you start up your top heavy, then you hit GB, and that confirms a top lat attack for 20 damage. And the big thing about the pommel strike is the bash itself is unreactable. They see your top heavy, and then they have to predict what you're going to do. And so you, as the Kensei, what you have to do is you have to predict how they're going to react to your top heavy, and then you punish it. So you start up your top heavy, and you're in control then. They're reacting to your top heavy, and you're trying to punish their reaction.
Okay.
So you got a lot of different soft feints out of that top heavy to punish different things. You can hard feint it, of course, if you think they're going to throw an attack. You can parry them. You can soft feint it with a dash, and that's useful for going into GB then. So if they try to dodge the pommel, you can catch them with that.
Alright.
You can also go into a light, which is it's really low damage. It's only 12 damage. I don't really recommend doing that one. It does have some situational uses, but we don't really need to go into them because they don't really come up. And then you can also stuff it into a heavy, and that one can catch dodge attacks for a really big punish, 40 damage.
Okay.
So if you think we're going to dodge attack, you can do that. Because, of course, if you just do the GB, that would lose to an instant dodge attack. So then you kind of got these three options here. You can go pommel, you can go GB, and you can go into that if you think we're going to dodge attack, or you can hard feint as well. So you got all these different options here. You just got to think about what your opponent is going to do, and then you try to punish them.
Okay, so it kind of feels like I'm... Okay, so as I can say, kind of in 1v1, feels like I kind of have a way to deal with almost everything, except, of course, people playing at the very highest level, like dodge rolling, you know, optimally. But it kind of feels like I have an answer to everything, but it's not on reaction, right? I have to read my opponents correctly.
Yeah, and everything is on read. You start up a top heavy, and then you kind of enter this read game. Your opponent sees the top heavy, and now they're making reads, and now you're making reads. You're both making reads once you start that up.
Okay. So what happens if just so that you guys know, by the way, at home, like if someone optimally rolls, then there isn't much Kensei can do. But what if someone just... I've seen this happen a lot. I do it as well sometimes, because sometimes in 4v4 the people panic, and in 1v1 as well. So what if someone just rolls on a reaction to the top heavy, for example? Is there anything I can do to catch that roll?
No, what I normally do, if my opponent is rolling my stuff as Kensei, if they're rolling it perfectly, there's nothing you can do as Kensei, so you gotta hope that they make mistakes. So what I do to be prepared in case they do make a mistake is, I start it up, I go into a forward dodge.
Oh, okay.
And you can delay your dodge attacks quite a bit after a forward dodge, so roll my top heavy here. And I can react to the roll with my forward dodge light and hit it.
Okay.
So I just do that, wait for the roll, and then I hit it.
Okay. So that was even just a normal top light there that tracked.
Yeah, that can track too.
Okay.
And it's all on reaction to the roll. So
Okay.
I just do that, and then I wait.
All right. So as well, if you do that, if you catch a roll like that, well, you can also then do the second light as well, right? To make it if I'm unlock rolling, right? So
yeah.
Then
we can show it.
yeah. So let's show. I think I'm gonna die from that, but that's... Yeah, and that was guaranteed. You could see my guard try. Yeah, I tried to move my guard there. You can see my inputs, and it just didn't work. The light is guaranteed in the situation. So I forgot to turn off damage, but that's fine. I'm just gonna do it right now. So those are the main tools that I have, right? So that's top heavy is like the main thing, right? But I see a lot of people talking about how you can just easily light a Kensei on a reaction, and there's nothing he can do. Or maybe he can block or something like that. But is that true or not?
Not fully.
Okay.
There is some stuff you can do. Once we get into the game, I can show it.
Okay. So now there will be no damage, so we can just do this in peace. Okay, so yeah, let's just talk about that, because that's a big talking point, I guess, when it comes to Kensei. And I see a lot of people bring up every time there's a Kensei talk. Like, for example, what do I do against Kensei? And everyone just says, just light them out of it. There's nothing you can do, or just react to his top heavy with a light attack. Just side light him. Even like the other day, I saw that it just keeps coming up. So if you could adjust that in this video, that'd be great. So once we get into the game, we shall be able to do that. And again, guys, for whoever's watching live on Twitch, if you have any questions, please make sure to add Alernakin in the chat so I can see it. Alright, so let's talk about that.
Okay, so what you just mentioned, what people are talking about is they see an indicator from Kensei and they just immediately press zone to parry it as if it was a light, and because Kensei's top mix-ups are so slow, their zone ends up interrupting that mix-up. So we could show that. I'm going to try to do top heavy, and you just try to zone parry on light timing.
Okay.
See, interrupts the pommel, interrupts the light, waiting for your stamina.
Yep.
And if you're just a bit slow, I can parry that.
Oh, that was very, very slow, yeah?
But if you do it like as quick as possible, like that, I can't even parry it.
Okay.
But what I can do, there's one thing I can do.
Ooh, okay, let's try that again, yeah?
I can superior block dodge into it.
Oh. Oops. There we both messed up. Oh.
Okay, zone
input. Yeah.
So even though I can't parry that, I can superior block dodge into it, but it's quite a big read.
Okay.
It's pretty risky, but you do have something that you can do.
Okay, so so that all works with 500 ms zone attacks, right? Or 400 ms, of course, with PK as well. Now, when it comes to the lights, though, so when it comes to people saying that you can light, just on reaction, you see the top heavy, you know it's a top heavy, you light him out of it, there's nothing you can do. Is that true? Or is that a read based on the indicator? How does that work?
Well, no, I mean,
just
it's the same thing. We just showed it with the zone. If that zone is the same speed as the lights are 500 ms, so it's the same way, you know. But if the light is even more risky because with the zone, you parry. But if you just try to light me out of it and I just light attack, well, you're just gonna get hit then.
Yeah. Okay. So you cannot do it on reaction to an attack being a top heavy. If you don't have like a really quick zone, for example, if you play a character like I don't know, like Lawbringer, I guess, or like any character that has a very slow zone, you cannot do it on a reaction to the top indicator. You can light Kensei on prediction. If you see a top indicator, right, then you can light him out of his top heavy mix-ups. But in general, Kensei can deal with that, right? So I can, as you said, superior block it. If it's a top light, for example, that I do, like if I'm a Lawbringer, then you can even cancel into a superior block into a Garbrick, right?
Yeah, attacking top against Kensei is always risky because my controller is finicky with dodge directions sometimes.
Yeah, and that's guaranteed. Yeah, that's guaranteed. You could see me try to gun the Garbrick. Okay, so those are kind of my options, and I think that goes over the most important mix-ups as well as we talked about at the very beginning, but also kind of the biggest issue that people bring up usually with Kensei, which is like his very slow top heavy, which is I think a legitimate issue, right? It's a very, very slow top heavy, but there are things that the Kensei can do, especially against characters with not very quick zone attacks. Okay, so I think that's gonna be the basics for the playstyle of 1v1. So if we could go over to some matchups, so any more important matchups, any maybe like weird matchups where last time we had Warden, where we talked about Nobushi or Valk matchups, or Highlander matchups, where those characters may not be like the very best, especially 1v1 with like Nobushi, but we still talked about it because it was a little bit different than the other matchups. So does Kensei have those, or?
Yeah, I think Nobushi again, because hidden stance is always that theme that you're trying to work around. So you got to play your Pommel strike mix-ups differently against Nobushi. It would probably be best if you switched Nobushi so we could show it.
Okay.
Okay, so working around hidden stance is always a struggle for every character.
Yep.
So if a Nobushi is reacting perfectly to everything, you just can't hit her. But there's some moments in it where it can be some tight reactions. So if you mix up between your options enough, she might mess up her reaction. You might hit her. My most usual options against her is I heavy feint into top light, or I heavy feint into zone.
All right.
And by mixing up between these two, what she has to do, she has to enter hidden stance on that top heavy, and then she has to move her guard to the direction of the attack that I choose and then dodge so that she can block it in her dodge. By mixing up between the two, it can be a pretty tight reaction to pick the correct guard direction.
Yeah, that I tried and didn't work.
So that's generally what you want to do against hidden stance. You mix up between those two. You want to be careful, but you don't just do it on autopilot, though.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're reacting to the hidden stance with your attack, because if you just do that automatically, then
yeah, then I can
if you just do it automatically, then they can just parry. You know, if they know you're gonna feint an attack, they can parry. So what you want to be doing is waiting and then seeing hidden. You don't want to just go right into it.
Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, it generally seems like it's a matchup where taking it slow is the way to go, right? Just slowly doing like the few types of mind games that you've described, and And since hidden stance is stamina intensive, maybe she messes up, maybe goes out of stamina, then you can pressure her as well, which we'll be talking about in a bit as well. But yeah, it's definitely a matchup where you can take it slow, or you have to take it slow. But on the other hand, also Nobushi can't really do too much.
You have no pressure. Like Nobushi has no offense. You can take it as slow as you want. You have all the control.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the Nobushi matchup. Are there any other matchups you'd like to talk about here?
Most matchups are pretty standard in how they operate. You just take it patient, read your opponent, use your stuff at the right time. But I do want to talk about how he plays on console, because I play some console tournaments from time to time, and Kensei is very different on console with the limitations of it. I think he has a completely different playstyle in 1v1 there.
Alright, yeah, we can talk about it.
So, on console, I wouldn't even bother with Pommel. You have better stuff there. With the input delay and all on console, it can be quite difficult to consistently react to 500 MS attacks. And the thing with Kensei is he has the longest range attack from neutral in the game. So having these 500 MS attacks and the range gives him a different playstyle. What you want to be doing on console with him is you want to be staying at this range. You want to be at the edge of your top light range, because a lot of heroes aren't in range here. Like if you're, say, like a warlord or something, you're not in range of me with your lights at all, but I'm still in range of you.
Yeah.
So at this range, I'm putting on pressure from two directions. I can top light you, or I can zone you, and on console it's tricky to consistently block both of those. So you'd stay at that range, and you keep mixing up between top light and zone. If you think they're going to go for a parry, well, you just throw a heavy like that. Of course, use your dodge attacks. Those are always good. But yeah, it's much more simple on console. You just keep the range, and you just keep attacking them.
Okay. So, alright, so that's how it works on console. You've played a lot of console, right? This night is kind of coming out. I've not really played many tournaments on PS4 specifically, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is coming from tournament experience. Alright, so that's console. That's 1v1 Kensei on console. So I think that's all the match, like that Nobushi matchup and console is kind of all we want to talk about, right? When it comes to the matchups. Alright. So yeah, all the seems like. Of course, I don't have much experience playing Kensei, but it seems like most matchups are kind of similar. It's just that in some of the matchups you want to take it slower. Some of the matchups you can be a little bit more aggressive, but then it also depends on if they have like a really quick zone. You also have to be a little bit careful. But that's what it feels like right now. Alright, so I think now we can move on to 4v4. Actually, no, punishes now. Punishes. I want to talk about punishes before. Okay. Alright, so now punishes. So this is gonna include obviously the wall punish, but we can show it just to have no confusion there, and then the different kind of out of stamina punishes. Every time I play Kensei like casually in 4v4, just every now and then on stream, I'm kind of wondering what I'm really supposed to be doing with the punishes. So that'd be nice to know, and I'm sure for the viewers out there as well. So first of all, of course, on a wall throw, just to make sure that we show this.
Wall throw is nice and simple.
Yeah, it's just the unblockable. You don't have much range, right? There's not much throwing range, but but it deals 45 damage, so it's 20 more damage than the usual Gabriel punish. And now talk to me about the out of stamina punishes. So I'm just gonna go out of stamina. And
okay, so his out of stamina punishes are actually pretty simple. Throw, you just forward throw, side light, side heavy. You can also land top light, top heavy for the same damage, but I wouldn't recommend that. The top light can whiff sometimes. Stick to the side one.
Okay.
And then for parry.
Alright.
Same thing. Just side light into top heavy, 52. It used to be a top light into top heavy, but a few patches ago, the top light now whips, so you have to do side light into top heavy. There's one other one for 10 more damage, so that's 52. You have a 62 damage punish, but it's unsafe, meaning you can guard break me after it.
Okay.
And there's nothing I can do about that. But if they have more than 52 health, but less than 62, then you do that one.
Alright. So let me try that just to make sure It's thrown. Okay, so it's just side light. Oh.
Oh, my bad.
Alright, side light, side heavy. And there, by the way, you could have Gabriel me, but I can throw another light or something like that as well, right?
Yep.
Okay. And let's do the parry one. Okay, that's the safe one, 52 damage. And what was the other one, the 62 damage
You
one?
do 4 dodge light into the top heavy.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, this one's unsafe. You could see me try to counter car break, but okay. So those are the other stamina punches. The wall throw we already covered. So this is pretty simple. And it's nice damage, 52 and 62 here with the out of stamina. Different punishes that we want to do, but the top light, the dash light into the top heavy, you say doesn't work on just throw, right? It has to be on a parry, on out of
you
stamina.
can do it on throw as well, but your out of stam throw punish is 60, so you're only getting 2 more.
Okay.
It's not going to be very often that your opponent is going to have 61 or 62 health exactly.
Oh yeah, and with Ubisoft's health bars, you're not going to be able to tell anyway.
Yeah, so you just stick to the light heavy on the throw.
Okay, so those are the punishes. Just wanted to make sure we have those down. And okay, now I think we can move on to 4v4. And with 4v4, I know we wanted to talk about hitboxes. So before we move on to feats, which is what we usually would start with, I want to start with hitboxes just because we just need one more person here. So now Skorbrand wanted to show us hitboxes of the character. Oh, I forgot to make sure there's no bots. I'm a really good host. So hitboxes. So take it away, Skorbrand, just to talk about why that's even important to show with the character.
Yeah, and we mentioned Kensei is not the best 1v1 hero, but 4v4 and 2v2, he is amazing, one of the best, and a large part of that is because of his hitboxes.
Mm-hmm.
He just hits everything on the map, pretty much.
Okay.
If you're around him, you are getting hit. So the big thing of Kensei, the big thing to master is your positioning. You always want to make sure that you're positioning yourself to make proper use of your big hitboxes.
Okay. So we'll see how this works here in detail with Mr. Kawaii. 2 Kawaii for you. I asked him for help. He's going Armush. I hope he's not going to be blade locating anything. And yeah, we should be able to show all the hitboxes, and then we can move on to feats and other parts of 4v4 with Kensei. Alright, so let's start with the hitboxes.
Okay, so general positioning is you want to try to hit everybody around you. You don't want anybody to not be hit, because then that's dangerous. If you don't hit someone, that means they can hit you.
Okay.
So you're always positioning to make sure you can hit everyone. And this right here, where I'm at right now, is a good place to be. 1 person in front of me, 1 person to my left. Because then what happens if I throw a zone? See, the first hit of the zone hit both of you.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm safe. So that's a good place to be. And then another one in between is good too. Because then the back swing can hit it. But there, of course, I missed it. I mispositioned a bit. I can get punished for that. And so what you want to do to make sure, you want to put them a bit more to your right then, behind to the right a bit, and then you're safe to that with him. And so you're always positioning to hit everybody with your hitboxes. And the everyone that you're positioning for is your swift strike.
Oh, okay, I
this
see.
one is really, really important for repositioning. That's a big strength of Kensei, is that he can reposition really safely with it. And see, what I'm doing, I'm locked onto you, and I'm hitting Kawaii with my dodge attack.
Yeah, so of course he cannot parry it. And
yeah, he cannot parry it, and then after that I can go into a finisher. Usually you go into heavy and you feint it just to cancel your recovery.
Okay.
But what you also can do, Kawaii, if you get hit by this dodge attack here, it's tricky. It's tricky to get the proper angles, but
Oh, there. I think it was.
There. So if you get just right angle, you can confirm that... Actually, it feels different. I don't know if it got changed in a patch to make it even harder, but it's still confirmed sometimes.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can pretty much get a 40 damage dodge attack then. But it's really risky, and the thing is, every time you see him block it, see if you block that finisher. And then, okay, now he's failing to block. Everything's going perfect.
Yeah, this is great. That's fine. It's fine. All right, there
See,
we go.
Like that. If he blocks it, it's a free GB on the person I'm not locked onto.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really risky. You want to make sure you have teammates around when you go for that light finisher so they can interrupt the GB, because that guaranteed hit, as you've seen, it's inconsistent. A lot of the time you think you're going to have that guaranteed damage, and then they end up blocking it and they get a free GB. So it's a big risk. You want to have teammates around to mitigate that risk.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, you just stick to that, and then you can let the heavy fly if you end up at an angle where you hit that person again. I could have counter guard that. So the heavy finisher is safe unless you do that. See, so you always want to make sure.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
And you have plenty of time. You can analyze your positioning while you're throwing out that heavy, and then you can see whether it's safe or not and feint if it's not safe. So doing that to reposition, and then anytime you hit everybody around you, you throw out a zone. If you can't hit everybody around you, you reposition until you can, then you throw up a zone again.
Alright, so it just seems like anytime I think I'm in a bad spot, I just move away from that spot with the Swift Strike. And then I start up the heavy to just be safe from anyone trying to punish me. And then of course I have also teammates around to help me. But you know, if you're playing solo queue dominion, it can be a little bit more difficult to get those teammates. But even by myself, I seem like, as Kensei, I seem to be able to do a lot in a team fight or with my hitboxes. Alright, so I think for hitbox that's gonna be about it, right? Basically it's the zone that's the most important, and the Swift Strike is the second part, I guess, of using the hitboxes. And of course you can also use the heavy sometimes, right? Because they also have all the big hitboxes.
Yeah, his heavies have really nice hitboxes. You can get, I mean, the chip damage itself is nice. It's an 8 chip damage heavy. But if you happen to get lucky and they happen to attack right as you do, and you hit them, well, you just hit them for 40 damage for not any risk. It's really nice to throw out whenever it's safe to. In 4v4, you got to be careful with the revenge tags. You don't want to be throwing those on someone when multiple of your teammates have attacked them, because then they might get a lot of revenge for just some chip damage. But anytime that they don't have a bunch of tags on them and it's safe, and those are good to throw out. Yep.
So tags, by the way, if anyone doesn't know, revenge tags are basically that's what they are. So for us, if someone hits you or you block an attack, it doesn't matter. If someone tries to interact with you with an attack, and within 5 seconds after that, or something like that, within a short period of time after that, someone else hits you, now you're getting a lot more revenge, because it counts as a 1v2, so you get more revenge. So that's just a really quick explanation of what revenge tags are. So that would be a separate video, I'm sure, in the future for me, but as Kensei, it's important to also look at those. Okay, so I think when it comes to hitbox, that's about it, right?
Yep, that's just the basics of it. You know, your zone's your primary tool. You're positioning for it. And if you need to reposition, your Swift Strike is really good for that.
Okay. And before we start the game, I'm going to have you talk to me about the feats, just as I make sure everything's correct. Okay, so I'm going to the heroes right now. I don't know. I hope I have all the feats. I'm level 13, so I might have to buy the feats, but that's fine. Wait, the feats. Okay, I have all the feats. So basically, what feats do I want to have as Kensei?
So Kensei feats are really simple. You only have one choice for everything. Okay. You go body count, killing stare, second wind, and unblockable.
Okay. Now, when it comes to body count, I think everyone knows what it is. Like, a lot of heroes have that, so I'm sure you know. But then Chilling Stare, why is it so good, and why is it better for them? For example, Smoke Bomb, that's on some heroes is very strong as well. So why Chilling Stare?
Okay, so Chilling Stare is the best tier 2 feat in the game. Okay. It is insane. It's overpowered. It's one of the best feats in the game in general. What it does is it puts a debuff on an enemy champion, and then that debuff becomes an AoE for all enemy champions in that area, and it increases the damage they take by 25%, and also lowers the damage they deal by 25%.
Okay.
And that's insane to have that combination of damage buff to them and damage debuff to you. There's only one other feat that does that, Doom Banner, and that one's mobile. So this one that you put on a champion then follows the champion around is insane.
And also affects the hero I hit with it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's Chilling Stare. That's extremely strong. You will see the AoE in the game as well. It's very big. Now Second Wind, I think everyone knows it cleanses bleed. The heals 40 health. So that's very strong as well. You want that over Longbow or Steadfast. So you want Second Wind there. And then Unblockable. Talk to me about Unblockable. Why is it so good? What are the good parts of it, basically?
All right. Well, Unblockable is a very, very simple feat, very self-explanatory in its power. It's every attack you throw is unblockable. Really cool feat design and really, really powerful because of Kensei's hitboxes.
Okay.
So we just talked about his hitboxes, how you want to be positioning for him, and a lot of the time, you're throwing out these attacks that they can't parry because you're locked onto someone else. Now that attack is unblockable, it's even tougher for him to deal with because now they have to dodge that. And it can be tricky to always dodge when he throws out like 3 attacks in a row that none of them he can parry. And some of them are sped up and all that. So he can get a bunch of damage off in team fights thanks to that.
Alright, that makes sense. So also, just to give you guys a bit of an idea, Chilling Stare and Unblockable both last for 30 seconds and both have 90-second cooldowns. So they can be, if you want to use them for like a really big fight, like at the end of, for example, this breaking or something like that, you can use them in tangent with each other. You can use them both at the same time, right?
You can use them all the time. That's the crazy thing about his feats. Like, you look at other big, powerful feats, say like a Fire Flask, that has like a 3-minute cooldown. That's a thing where you use one time in a game.
Yeah.
2 maybe if you got really fed early. But Unblockable Chilling Stare, you just pop them every time they're off cooldown because you'll have it up in no time at all.
Okay, yeah, so that's a very strong part of the character. And Second Wind as well has 60-second cooldown, if I'm not correct. So that's all of his feats have very long cooldowns. Of course, body count is a passive. So all of those just need to be used. A lot of players, I think, look at feat as kind of like, okay, if there's like a really big fight, I can use it, but if there's no big fight, I'm not going to be using any of my feats, and they just end up not using feats for like 5 minutes. And with some characters, it kind of makes sense, like Fire Flask, you don't want to be using it in like a really, situation when it's not needed. But with Chilling Stare, Unblockable, and of course Second Wind, all of them have very low cooldowns, good durations with Chilling Stare and Unblockable, 30 seconds. So that's the same as like Fear itself, for example. So you just want to use them and kind of whenever, I think, right? And then you just kind of scale. If you think you use them a little bit too much in a game, then maybe scale down a little bit, but just kind of use them whenever. Really strong feats.
Yeah, don't be afraid of using them in a 1v1 either, because once again, the cooldowns are short, and if you can, with the help of your feats, quickly win that 1v1 and take over a point, having that point for your team can snowball an advantage, because now your team can heal there, and them being able to heal there may win fights in the future even stronger than those feats saved for that fight would have.
Okay.
So using your feats to take control of points, even if it's just a 1v1, it's perfectly fine.
And let's talk about more. We already talked about the positioning, and if there's anything else you kind of want to add. Because we talked about the hitboxes of his attacks, but that kind of goes in tangent with his positioning. But Kensei's positioning, but if there's something else you want to talk about with positioning during team fights and things like that, then we can talk about that now. And afterwards, we can talk about the general playstyle of Kensei, kind of where you want to be out on the map. If it changes during the game, maybe if you get chilling state, maybe you want to be somewhere else, maybe you don't, maybe you keep sitting wherever you are. So let's so we can talk about that as we kind of cruise around the map here.
Okay.
All right.
So right off the bat, of course, you want to be going mid and you want to start farming minions because you have killing stare, you have that OP feat, your priority on the minions because you need to get that feat unlocked.
Okay.
They're pretty much always priority. There's only one case where I would say someone else has priority on minions over you, and that would be Conq until he gets Shield Basher.
Okay.
So in any other case, you are number one priority for clearing minions, getting your feats, and it's generally just always use your zone. Your zone just hits every freaking minion around you.
Yeah.
So you just keep clearing them, keep hitting your minions, fight whoever's in mid with you, with your hitboxes, and generally you're just living here until you get Chilling Stare, maybe even beyond, because I mean all your feats are great. Second Wind is amazing, Unblockable is amazing, so you could really just stay here the whole game and keep control of it for your team. And you know, and your feats help you take control of it, because once you get that Chilling, say if you decide you want to stay there, you don't want to go to a team fight with it, well, whoever comes to contest mid with you, you put Chilling on them, well, now they can't fight you there.
Yeah.
So you still have control of mid for another while. And same with Unblockable. You know, once you get your feats, you just keep control of mid. So that's one way to play him. You can just stay in mid the whole time, use your feats to keep control of it. Now, another way is, of course, you get that Chilling, and then you go to a fight, and you help your team there. And generally, what I would recommend is a mix between these two. I would stay mid most of the time, but whenever there's an important fight, then you move there, you help them out. Then you go back and you keep farming.
Yeah, the farm is very, very strong with the zone, right? It's one of the best ones, it seems like.
Yeah, in my opinion, he is the best minion clearer in the game.
Yeah, just every time I zone, it kills like 10 to 15 minions, and it's very, very good. And plus with body count, I don't even lose any stamina really for it. It's very, very strong. And here I think this is my like 4th minion wave that I'm clearing, and I almost have, I would almost have tier 2 in a real game, as you can tell by the renown bar there. Okay, so there's two kinds of playstyles, right? As you said, I am supposed to be sitting in mid, but then once I get my Chilling Stare, it's kind of a choice, right? For me, I can either kind of wait in mid or keep clearing mid, defending mid, while I try to get my tier 3 and tier 4, or I could go and help my team with Chilling Stare, because Chilling Stare 25% increase of my damage, or like decreasing of their defense, and 25%. Was it? Did they deal less damage, right? 25% less damage. That pretty much can win a team fight, right? With a tier 2 feat, they can win a team fight.
Now, another thing that I like to do, where Chilling Stare is really good range too. Like if you stand still.
Yeah, I just did that. Yeah,
I can target you from way over here. I can still put Chilling on you. So something you can do if your team is doing like okay in a fight, they don't really need you there, but you just want to still make sure that they have that advantage. You can put Chilling on them from way across the map and then just keep farming.
Okay.
That's something that I do sometimes. So if they don't need that extra body, but they could use a bit of help, you give them Chilling, and you don't even have to move.
Okay, and you can tell how big the AoE is. It's like we're on Citadel Gate, which is like the biggest midpoint, and it pretty much covers the entire point pretty much covers the entire point here. So it's very, very big AoE for a tier 2 feat. Okay, so that would be the playstyle. So I don't want to be boosting points. I want to be sitting on A like the entire game and just kind of boosting, right? Like I want to be in mid. I want to be controlling the map. I want to be helping my team this way, and then I'm really strong in team fights, and I'm really strong in mid. So I want to be doing those. I guess a mix of those, right? As you said. Okay, so now when it comes to okay, so we talked about the feats, we talked about the basic playstyle. Is there anything more you want to talk about when it comes to team fights? Because we already talked about the hitboxes. You want to be using your hitboxes, the swift strike, lock onto someone else. Of course, we have only 2 of us here, but lock onto someone else in a team fight if you want to reposition. Make sure you hit everyone. But is there anything else in a team fight that's important to know as Kensei?
So another thing is in 4v4 now, people run away from fights, right? They get low, they try to back out and heal. Mm-hmm. And Kensei is a bit weird when it comes to chasing people running away. If they get away from you, so like you're both sprinting, well, then they're gone. You're very slow. You got slow sprint speed. Your sprint attack doesn't really catch. So if people get away from you, then they're gone. You can't catch up. So if someone's getting low, you want to be making sure you're sticking close to them. If you're close to them, you can keep them there. Your forward dodge attack is really good at keeping people on top of you. Same with your zone. You mix it between your forward dodge attack and your zone, and now they can't get away from you.
Okay.
But if they get out of this range, if they get out of your zone range, they're gone.
Yeah.
So if someone is getting low, you want to keep them in that range so that you can keep them in that fight. So as a Kensei, if they get out of your range, you cannot keep them in the fight. Like in the warding guide last week, you know, is forward dodge heavy. He doesn't care about that. He'll chase down anybody at any point. Kensei
forward dodge heavy.
Keep someone in the fight. Yeah, he's that's trash.
Yeah, that's really bad.
So yeah, you want to be sticking close to people as they're getting low, so that you can make sure they stay in that fight.
Okay, let me show the chilling star range again. Yeah, I can do
you
it from
all. You can keep moving.
I can keep moving.
You can keep going.
I can still hit you from there. Maybe not from there. So I think this is about the max range. Let's see. Yeah, I can move you. Yeah, this is I'm in the middle of the map. You're almost on your point, and I can hit you with it. It's very strong. Yeah. Okay, so is there anything else that I would have to know about Kensei in 4v4 specifically? Or is that about it? Like using your feats correctly, getting to those feats first of all, and as I get those feats, using them. I don't even have to be in a team fight to be able to help my team with Chilling Star. But is there anything else I would have to know about Kensei in 4v4? Is that about it?
That's pretty much basics of it. I mean, he's very simple, playstyle-wise, very simple to play in fights, very beginner-friendly hero overall, but there's a lot of room for growth in your ability to play him, and that just comes from the nature of the positioning. As you get better and better at positioning, Kensei is going to become more and more powerful. So really simple, but it's super powerful.
All right. So would you say he's like one of the best heroes for a new player who's starting off with For Honor? Maybe since there was a lot of people who got the game during the free week on Steam or on the Xbox, and there were discounts on PS4 as well. So would you say he's like the best or one of the best characters to get into at the beginning?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so I think for the guide itself, that would be about it. This is going to be a lot shorter than the last one. I did with Steppings about Warden. That one was about like an hour long. This one's probably going to be about 40 or 35 minutes, but that's just fine. If that's how much time it takes to talk about a hero, that's fine. But if there's any questions in chat, so if you're watching live on Twitch, if there's any questions, please add Alernakin in the chat, and we can answer them before we go. And if not, that will be about it from us. So we can wait here for a little bit and wait for any questions if they do appear. And if not, if we've kind of exhausted the topic, then we can just kind of be done for the day. Okay, so when it comes to the unblockable mix-up, right? So is there... let's assume, of course, we're not playing at the highest level, right? People will not be rolling our things. Just to finish this off, kind of going back to 1v1, I guess, just to wrap this up this way. Would you ever use it against someone who may not be like at the highest level? So, for example, what are the mix-ups I do have, if there are any? For example, what are the kinds of things that any constants and any things like that for the unblockable?
Okay, so same with your pommel, you got a bunch of different stuff you can go into. You can go into heavy, you can go into light, you can go into GB.
Yeah, and those, the heavy and the light are the finishes, right? So they have hyper armor.
Yep. Okay. So it's kind of the same thing as the pommel. You use the heavy to catch a dodge attack. you would use the GB to catch a dodge, but my testing yesterday said that doesn't work. My testing today says that I don't know if that needs further testing.
Yeah, I will. We can test it later, and I put like a disclaimer in the description that this will be added later into the description. But yeah, so let's continue here.
And the light that light is not bad.
Yeah, 20 damage and hyper.
And the thing about it is, let's say they dodge, and then even against a high level player, who's dodging and then they're rolling when EGB, depending on the hero, that light completely counters that. Slower rolls, like a Highlander.
Okay.
They can't roll that at all.
All right.
See,
yeah, I can say it works,
roll, but like a Highlander roll, Shaman, Raider, and Shaman's very popular heroes, so you can do this on Shaman, and every time, if they try to roll, that light will hit it.
Okay, that's nice. And also, let's try. You can also soft feint into a Garbage, right? Or immediately into a Garbage as well. Okay, so those are the kind of things that we can do with the unblockable. That's mostly used in 1v1. I guess in 4v4 wouldn't be too much use of it, or maybe if it's guaranteed, I guess somehow, right? You would maybe use it if there's someone's in recovery, but then you can just go for the heavy anyway. I'm not sure if that would be unused.
No, you don't typically use it in 4v4.
Alright, so let me check if there were any questions. Okay, so there's a matchup-specific question. Is there any good way to play around the Conqueror and full block? Is there anything Kensei can do against that?
Well, generally, against Conq, you're just not really attacking much. My internet appears to be dying. Nice.
It's fine. It's
okay. Is my voice still coming through clear?
Yes.
Okay, and that's good enough.
Yeah.
So you're not really attacking much against the Conqueror because he has all the shield bashes on your pommel. Like you start up a pommel and he's forward shield bashes you or side shield bashes you.
It just looks so funny when you're just kind of moving around and you're like teleporting, just moving around. It just looks really... Oh my god!
Yeah, this is how you be a good Kensei.
Oh no!
Throttle your internet.
Oh no!
Throttle your internet.
That's gonna be in the bloopers. That's gonna be in the bloopers of the video.
Okay. Conq has a lot of stuff to interrupt your pommel. You don't really want to be doing that to him. So generally against Conq, you're just being patient and you're reacting to shield bashes with your dodge.
Okay.
And you gotta get really good at that. Conq versus Kensei is a really bad matchup for Kensei, but if you want to win it, you need to be able to react to the shield bash.
Okay, so
and you just react to it, and you punish him with 20 damage every time.
Okay, so Odo, who was the one to ask that question, now he said that he meant in team fight. So if there's a Conqueror sitting in full block in a team fight, what can I do as a Kensei? Is there anything I can do, or do I just kind of ignore him and make sure I don't hit him?
What you do, once again, it comes down to positioning. So normally you position to make sure you hit everybody. Now you position a bit different. Now you position to hit everybody but the Conq. So it takes some practice, takes some getting used to figure out where you need to be at all times, but that's just the general idea that you ignore him and you make sure you don't hit him.
Okay. So I think that's
you don't want to be guard breaking him or anything because your guard breaks are really poor in team fights because for 25 damage, and it's not like Nobushi can guard break because she can guard break and then she can zone to make yourself safe. Kensei can't do that. Kensei can only light or heavy.
Yeah, it just light attack.
So you don't want to be guard breaking in team fights. So if the Conq is in full block, you just let him be, let your teammates deal with that, and you make sure you hit everybody but him.
Okay. Alright, so that's just a little bit more positioning things when it comes to team fights with Kensei, so against Conqueror specifically. So I think there were a few more questions like what's the highest damaging combo and things like that, but we already talked about that. The punishes, the out of stamina punishes, we already talked about. So if you're interested in that, you can either go back in the VOD or you can wait for the YouTube upload. But I think that's gonna be about it for this week's Hero Friday when it comes to the guide. So, Skorbrand, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for teaching us all Kensei. And are there any shoutouts you might have at the end here? Anything you wanna say to anyone? If you wanna call someone out.
Yeah, let me call it Legion League setbacks. I stream very rarely at twitch.tv/Skorbrand_. Maybe come season 8, it'll come back a bit. I haven't streamed in like a month or two, but yeah, they'll come back at some point. Just normally stream scrims and tournaments. And I also want to call out Legion and tell me shit.
Okay, that's usually. I hope that becomes a running gag and every one of my guests calls out Legion at the end. All right, so thank you very much, and yeah, that's gonna be about it. So again, thank you, and see you next time.